podcast show for business owners and managers who are passionate about developing people and growing a successful business. And now here's your host, Alistair Booth from the HR Booth.
Welcome back to the channel. In this episode, going to discuss something a little bit different, and it's slightly different from our normal kind of HR and leadership topics. And this episode is going to be discussing the benefits of using social media to grow your business. And the reason that we're going to discuss that on this episode is that we recently hit quite a good milestone for the HR Booth, and that 200 subscribers have now subscribed to our YouTube channel, which in the grand scheme of things probably doesn't sound that big or that huge, and we're certainly not going to be world domination in terms of being YouTubers, but it is quite a kind of good milestone. And Rennie, our digital marketing assistant, and I were just kind of chatting last week, and Rennie kind of suggested it might be a good idea just to talk about social media to grow your business as a slightly different topic. So here I am discussing this kind of very topic. So I'll give probably some of my insights into that, and as I said, not kind of professing to be an absolute expert in this field, but obviously we do use social media quite a bit in our business and have done for a number of years, and that has kind of brought some benefits to the business. So I'm just going to kind of share some of my insights on that today, and hopefully it will kind of resonate with other kind of business owners and leaders, and hopefully some small nuggets, if you like, to perhaps take away and implement into your own kind of business. So I suppose if I think back to the early days when I kind of started the business, didn't have any kind of social media kind of presence at all. All the kind of business was built up on face-to-face kind of networking, and in the early days where I was probably kind of time rich and cash poor, I could attend networking events every day of the week, and sometimes I did do that, and that would include a breakfast event, a lunch event, and an evening event. And it was kind of joked about quite a bit that back in the day I would go to the opening of an envelope, so there wouldn't be any kind of networking event that I wouldn't have missed, and that was great for kind of getting my name out there, getting myself kind of known, and that did result in the early days in terms of introductions and referrals and things like that, and we did pick up certainly in the early days quite a lot of business from that kind of networking kind of mechanism, if you like, and that worked very well. But as the business continues to kind of scale and grow, you have kind of a lot less time, and it's just impossible for me to get to a lot of the networking events these days, just in terms of having a team, and that's been the case for a number of years. As you start to grow the business, you're doing business development, you're doing marketing, you've then got kind of client delivery to do, you're working on the business, you're working in the business, so you can't kind of do it all. And then what I kind of found is as we were kind of bringing in business, your focus has to be supporting and delivering for the clients. So doing networking events was just something that still like to do, but not to the volume and to the what I was kind of doing in the early days. And what I've kind of found in the last kind of few years has been a bit of a shift in terms of where our business comes from. And I suppose you could argue, if we're putting the same effort into networking events as we did the way back in the beginning, you would get a better return from networking than what we're getting now. But what I'm kind of finding is that we're getting more of a return through other kind of forums or platforms, and that includes kind of social media, but also kind of a website kind of presence. And what we've kind of found as a result of that, the time that I'm needing to put into that isn't the same level of time that I would have to put into kind of networking events and all the follow-up and the travel. A lot of the stuff I can kind of do from the comfort of my home, I can do in the office, and I can do in collaboration with Shannon and Rennie as well. So in terms of kind of social media kind of content, and ideas and what we want to put across, we can kind of reach a kind of far bigger audience than what we can get, say, at a kind of networking event. And as I say, our following probably isn't huge, so that this is kind of been this episode's on the back of 200 subscribers on YouTube, but across other kind of platforms, we have actually got thousands of followers across things like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and various kind of platforms like that. So our following is actually quite big. But what's more important, I suppose, is the reach that we can develop. So our content can actually be seen by thousands of people, and you just don't get that same kind of coverage at a kind of face-to-face kind of networking event. And what I've kind of found recently with doing the podcast, and I probably kicked myself a little bit because kind of started doing podcasting a number of years ago. And one of the things, like anything that you do, whether it's social media, podcasting, marketing, anything at all, is consistency is key. And I kind of found that, you know, way back a number of years ago when we first started doing podcasting, probably wasn't getting that return, so didn't have that same consistency, so it kind of dropped off. What I would kind of say now is, since having that more kind of consistent approach around it, the podcast and our whole approach to social media, what we're now seeing is the benefits of that is, you know, we've recently picked up clients on the back of the podcast. So, you know, there was an individual kind of reached out to me a few months ago to say that she had kind of tuned into the podcasts, felt that she kind of had already built up some trust and rapport with me, found the podcast to be quite engaging, quite informative. So when it came to them looking for HR support, she was kind of already kind of sold on that already. So, you know, she made an inquiry, we did a Teams call, we then did a proposal. I think we're up against 2 or 3 other kind of HR providers, and we got that work, and that's led to some additional work from that client as well. And there's been other examples of that as well kind of recently. So don't underestimate the power of kind of podcasting and your social media kind of presence. Whilst your engagement levels might not be high, you don't know who's kind of watching and who's listening. So, you know, and what you might find, certainly from an HR perspective, not everybody wants to kind of comment on posts to kind of say they're struggling with this or struggling with that. It's probably not something they want to kind of share in public, but what they will do is kind of reach out directly via the website or through social media to make an inquiry. So don't kind of be put off by that at all. And I just want to quickly just cover some of the things that, you know, if you're in business and you're looking at social media as a opportunity to kind of grow your business, here's some of the things that I think are quite important for you to consider, regardless of the platform. And that's the thing, the platforms are changing all the time. The only kind of platform that I'm regularly engaged with is LinkedIn. I don't have social media on other platforms, but I know that the business, obviously, we do have various platforms across a number of different kind of platforms, and that kind of works for us. But the key thing, regardless of the platform you're kind of using, what you need to kind of make sure is that the content is what is probably classed as value driven. So what that kind of means is share content that you think adds value to your audience. So whether that's through your blog posts, videos, or podcasts, or just kind of social media kind of posts, stuff that's going to add value to what they do. So obviously we're in the world of HR and leadership and culture, so a lot of our kind of social media campaigns are kind of based on that, and that's, you know, where our kind of value driven content comes from. The next one is consistency. So kind of touched on that earlier. So look at a consistent posting schedule. Keeps your audience engaged and informed as well. If you're doing kind of newsletters or social media posts and they're a bit kind of ad hoc, you're probably not going to grow your following because of that inconsistency. So just look at the consistency around that and see what you can kind of build into your, you know, whether it's a weekly or daily, whatever that might be. Find something that kind of works for you and invest that time. But if you're going to commit to doing something, then, you know, our advice would be to kind of see that through. The next one is what we kind of class as brand voice and personality. So try to kind of ensure that your content reflects your own kind of brand's voice and personality. So what makes you different from, you know, say the competition, makes your business kind of relatable, and probably makes your business approachable. So try to kind of get that across in the message. You know, if you perhaps come across as too stuffy or too corporate-y, then that might not be the audience that you're trying to attract. So just kind of consider that as and when you're kind of looking at social media in terms of growing your business. Other things to think about is audience engagement. So that's probably interacting with some of your followers. So if someone's taken the time to leave a comment or a message or a mention, then what you want to do is kind of at least kind of respond to that as well. And that helps kind of build a community and kind of build a brand as well around that. Next one I've kind of seen working quite well is also just encouraging your audience to kind of share their own content related to your brand. So that kind of enhances that community feeling and kind of trust as well. So if you're building a community, it's kind of utilize them to encourage that audience to kind of share that on your behalf. The good thing about social media as well is you can also gather feedback on what's working and what's not working. So like anything in business, what gets measured gets done. So if you're kind of looking at, different platforms, different content, different ideas, kind of look to see what's kind of worked and kind of what hasn't. And then that use that as a tool for the future. And then kind of think about kind of platforms kind of wisely as well. So, if you're in the B2B kind of market, then it makes sense for you to kind of be on LinkedIn. But if you're kind of business to consumer and you've got a kind of product or something that you can kind of showcase, then you probably want that to be on things like kind of Instagram and TikTok, kind of facing that a little bit, so a little bit more beneficial for kind of storytelling and showcasing what you do. But that's not to say that if you're B2B, you shouldn't be on these platforms. What we've kind of found is even just doing kind of some short videos, we can put that on TikTok. And again, with working with some younger people in the team, the younger people are on these platforms, and younger people are going to be business leaders and business owners and things like that as well. So think about where they're where are they hanging out, and that's where you want to kind of be getting some of your content as well. So that content that you're kind of publishing, that could be posted on multiple kind of platforms. So it's not like you're having to kind of duplicate any work. So if you're doing a blog post or a video or a podcast, you could share that across multiple platforms. So you kind of do it once and then you kind of share it. And the good thing as well, there's quite a lot of kind of scheduling tools out there as well that can perhaps help with some of that. So it kind of makes it a little bit, user friendly, but just more efficient as well. So have a look at some of that as well as as I said. Next one is perhaps looking at collaboration and partnerships. So that might be looking at partnering with influencers or someone who's very well known, and it allows you to perhaps kind of gain credibility. I watched an episode of Dragon's Den, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and there was a woman on, I think, looking for some investment in terms of diamond jewellery, and what it was slightly different from traditional kind of diamonds in terms of it's not, collected from kind of mines. So it was, more, forward thinking, resonating with, people from a younger, perhaps demographic who wanted to be more conscious of where their products are coming from. And I think if I remember rightly, on Dragon's Den, I think she's already got a huge following, and I think they asked the question how that was, and I think it was something Meghan Markle had apparently wore one of the part of the jewellery or something, and right away that enabled that brand to kind of increase their brand presence. So I'm not suggesting that you go and get a celebrity or somebody who's famous, but if you kind of know someone or you're able to kind of find an influencer who kind of resonates with your brand, then who knows where that could go. So depending on your business and the services and products you offer, that might be something that you want to consider. And then just kind of stay up to date with kind of market trends. Look to see what's emerging, what's working, what's not. Keep your social media kind of strategy, I suppose, relevant and fresh. We have a kind of content plan at the HR booth that we kind of map out on a kind of weekly and a monthly basis. And sometimes we have to adapt to perhaps what's happening in the world on that week. So if there's something that's relevant you need to kind of share, as always, kind of be adaptable. So don't kind of set to the one thing. And certainly my kind of LinkedIn content that I do for my own personal LinkedIn is more kind of off the cuff, related to kind of things that have happened either the day before or that kind of week in business. So there's probably building your own personal brand and also building your business kind of brand, and a lot of that kind of goes hand in hand. And I suppose experiment, try different things, try different kind of formats that work. If you kind of said to me 12 or 18 months ago that we'd be doing things on TikTok and things like that, I probably wouldn't have thought that would be something we would entertain. But with the kind of marketing team that we've got in place here, we're not actually having to spend a lot more time kind of doing that. We're doing the content and we're just kind of sharing it on different platforms to kind of see what's working. So yeah, that's just some of my observations on I suppose, using social media to kind of grow your business. I think there's still definitely a place for face-to-face networking, and certainly as you're starting your business out, it's great to kind of get yourself known, and you know, people can introduce you and kind of set up referrals and things like that, and that kind of still happens for us. But I think if you're looking to really kind of scale your business, excuse me, really kind of scale your business, and in this kind of day of kind of digital age, you know, you need to be considering the social media platforms that are out there. You know, one, it's going to expand your kind of reach, and also allows you to kind of build a bit of a community and a bit of kind of following around there. So hopefully that's kind of helped. As I say, slightly different from our kind of usual kind of topics, but as I say, just because we hit that 200 kind of subscribers on YouTube, we thought it was probably worthwhile just giving some insights into, you know, what you can do in your own business to kind of use social media to grow that. So hopefully you found that helpful. As I say, we won't be diversifying into this topic every week. So, you know, kind of stay tuned for kind of more future podcasts on HR, leadership and culture as well. So if you want to kind of reach out to us, you can do that through the normal channels. So via the website. So that's www.thehrbooth.co.uk. You can also contact us via email. So me directly would be info@thehrbooth.co.uk. So again, thanks for tuning in, and also really thanks for subscribing as well. If you've not already done so, we would appreciate if you like the content, then feel free to subscribe. And who knows, we might be here very soon celebrating 500 subscribers. So thanks again, and we'll be back in touch very soon.